Today we're going to mock another mock draft, then spin it around and rank those players for Dynasty Fantasy Football for rookie drafts. We'll do a draft / ranking with tiers. That way you have a good idea how these landing spots will impact these players. Plus I'll talk about them as well. We got a mock from the Draft Network here. We've used a mock from them before, but they got a 2-rounder. We don't have 2-rounders too much often these days, so we got one to use here. This came out like last week. I wanted to use it last week, but I had some other content that I wanted to roll out, but now we're going to cover it. So with the first pick here, we got a trade already, and it's Colts and Bears, obviously, and the Colts decide to draft Will Levis. Thing is, we're seeing Will Levis go in a lot of mock drafts to the Colts, and could be a possibility, could happen, could be a different quarterback, but in this scenario, Will Levis is the QB1. If you want to drop your thoughts on that pick, I understand. Do it in the comment section there, because it's very entertaining to me as well, and I get what you're feeling. Moving to number 2, Bryce Young to the Houston Texans. Whether the Houston Texans got the 1 or they got the 2, Bryce Young always gets mocked to the Houston Texans, and it's very rare unless that mock drafter wants to get a little frisky with us. But here, they're not getting frisky here. Bryce Young to the Texans. We've been talking about this all offseason long. One of the top quarterbacks in the draft, and a shaky quarterback draft. So him going to the Texans, you know they're going with the quarterback here. It's almost written on the wall in blood. So here we go. Let's see if he can go with something here with Nico Collins and company, Brevin Jordan, Mechie, and whatever else they're going to build with going forward. Moving on down here, C.J. Stroud to the Carolina Panthers. I low-key like this spot. I also like that he's in the top 5. I like that he's going to be developing with DJ Moore. I think this is a good opportunity for him to develop, and I think they're going to build around him as well, which I think that with all the quarterbacks, but that doesn't always happen too, but most time it does. So this could be a sneaky spot for him as well. At 4 overall, I like the draft capital. Moving down here, first round is a little trim, it looks like. We got a lot of O-line and defense. And boom, here we go, the big pick. Eagles at 10, draft Bijan Robinson, which is very important here for Dynasty Fantasy Football because this is a huge landing spot. This is a spot that will jack him up the ranks. Not much in question here because he's a top-tier talent. No matter where he goes, he's going to be in that stud tier. He's going to be the 101 in Superflex, 1 QB, all QB. Bijan Robinson is locked and loaded, and he's been like that since before he was a freshman. So Bijan going here top 10 is very realistic. It's very realistic, especially a team like the Eagles. They can use a luxury pick on him, and it would make sense. And him going to the Eagles seems very apropos here. Makes sense. Obviously, top 10, you can go a million different directions, but Bijan Robinson is that one type of running back that will go high in the first round, higher than expected. Moving down here, let's see what else we got. Jordan Addison to the Patriots. We've seen this mocked before. He is a safe wide receiver prospect, which is probably something the Patriots need to lean in on because they probably do need safety at the wide receiver position. When I'm talking about safety, I'm talking about a guy who can run routes, create separation, pretty much a lock, not the bust on you, can be productive, has ball skills. Jordan Addison has that. Will he be a dynamic wide receiver threat in fantasy? The odds are saying from this landing spot that the volume probably won't be there. However, we've seen this happen where a player outplays that, but the bet on that is another different thing. Jordan Addison, though, is still a good prospect, just not going to the greatest landing spot. Moving on down here to our another pick, Quentin Johnston to the Detroit Lions. And the thing about the NFL these days, you do need 3 quality wide receivers, and Hawkinson's gone. You also got J-Mo there. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then he would be the third wheel. The Chargers not going to be there forever. And this is a team that likes to sling it. They like to move the football. They like having good moving pieces. They're a fun team to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if they do make a fun draft pick. I mean, Jameson Williams, when they drafted him last year, you wasn't expecting it. Quentin Johnston here could be an unexpected pick from the Lions. And we've seen mocks with them drafting a wide receiver for fantasy. You might be able to catch Johnston at a discount. If you believe in the talent, he is a very talented wide receiver, top-tier talent in this class for this class. That's a player you may want to just keep up there in your ranks just in case as well. Even if he lands in a spot like this, there's good volume here. It's kind of crowded, but you know what? It could be Amon-Ra St. Brown soaking up targets, and then him and Jameson Williams just taking turns having their big games. You're going to see Johnston get goal line targets. You're going to see Johnston get air yards. You're going to see him get some volume once he gets developed into the system. And then Jameson Williams stretching it downfield. Jameson Williams getting his spots to get yards after the catch. This is a low-key, sneaky spot, and it could allow you to catch him at a discount. Imagine he will fall some spots in rookie drafts, which is great, which is good to get a talent that is a first-round caliber wide receiver, getting drafted here at 18, and catching him at a value, which is good to see. Moving down here to our next pick, Anthony Richardson goes at 20 to the Seattle Seahawks. The thing about this, he falls all the way to 20. Some teams passed on him, and then he got selected by the Seattle Seahawks. It's a developmental prospect, a little bit rough around their edges. How long will it take for them to deploy Richardson in the offense? However, the offensive power for fantasy here with his rushing ability is huge, very huge, and that's something you don't want to ignore. Down here we got Michael Mayer to the Jaguars. Pretty much he's locked and loaded at this spot in every mock draft now, everyone that we're looking at, and this is a good spot for him. Him and Trevor Lawrence would be a good combination. I think this is one of the great fits for him. You can probably say the Chargers, one of the other top quarterbacks and a top offense, but him and Lawrence would be a good spot, and he kind of needs that for fantasy. He's a good tight end in his own right, but for fantasy purposes, he's going to need volume, and he's going to need good, accurate targets. Jackson Smith-Njigba to the Ravens. And Njigba is a stout route runner. He's very efficient. He creates separation, and situations change. And then players like this, players who reach their expectations, play above their situations. So this could be a great spot for him. And the spot's kind of cloudy. It's not great, but it's cloudy. However, it may not matter. He is a good prospect. We got Rashad Bateman on the other side. Things could change. Things could change in the near future. He's a good prospect, but the thing is that him at 24 could allow you to catch him at a discount. Him going to the Ravens could allow you to catch that Rashad Bateman discount. We didn't see him in 2022. We saw him ball out in 2021. Now he goes to the Ravens at 24. You catch him at a discount. And the rookie draft, like we did with Rashad Bateman, who was drafted somewhere around this range. So you could catch a discount here, which I like doing that with a prospect like this. Now we get crazy. Rashee Rice to the Dallas Cowboys, wide receiver from SMU. Someone needs to point this out, but he's going to be 23 years old around draft day, which may not matter to the Cowboys, considering they drafted Terrence Newman, who was 25 as a rookie. So that may not matter to them. I feel like this is a flex due to what they see on tape, what he was doing on the back half of his college season. But there are other wide receiver prospects on the board. I do not see them drafting Rashee Rice over some other guys. Cowboys also have like a thing for LSU players, so Kayshon Boutte would probably be the pick here at wide receiver, or maybe one of the other guys. But Rashee Rice, I feel like this is a bit of a stretch. I feel like this is like a flex play from what you see on tape. But again, this is an older wide receiver prospect who's got some ball skills. He's bigger, get downfield. This also gives them something different than what they have in CeeDee Lamb. However, I get that he's a rising prospect. I get that people like him in the draft community. I just do not feel like this is a great fit for Dynasty Fantasy Football for the long term. I think the odds are stacked against him, and I really don't think this is a realistic draft pick when you look at the other needs the team has. Moving down here, Jahmyr Gibbs to the Saints. Very interesting space here. You're looking like Alvin Kamara, Spider-Man memes of them pointing at each other. He's good at catching the ball in the backfield. He can run between the tackles a little bit. They do have some similarities in their game. They're a bit different too. I'll give that. There's no one-for-one comparisons in the league. That's just a fallacy. But Gibbs can run a little bit between the tackles, but his chops in the passing game is what really ignites his flame for fantasy football. He's explosive, has a good dead leg, manipulates space well. Got some good read on the defense, can manipulate the flow of the line, the flow of the offense, the flow of the defenders around him. He's a good back. At 29 to the Saints, it might be a luxury pick for them, considering they have other needs, considering the cap. However, you want to rate that. Somehow they get around that every year. But considering that, however, Jahmyr Gibbs isn't a bad pick either. He's a good running back. Moving down here, Jalen Hyatt to the Kansas City Chiefs from the Tennessee Volunteers here at 31. Late round pick to the Chiefs. Any player to the Chiefs. Money printer, go Burr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yada, yada, yada. Thing is, he's primed for air yards here if he's on the field, seeing snaps, and the potential for that in an offense like that is something you want to invest in. You pay that premium for. Sometimes it busts on you, and it happens, and Jalen Hyatt's going to get a premium. He's going to be expensive. He's not a top-tier wide receiver. He's not with the top-tier guys, but he does have some talent to get downfield. He does have some explosiveness, probably increase in value during the draft process. To the Chiefs will ignite that flame. I don't know if it's worth paying that, considering the running backs that will be on the board from the second and third rounds, but he's going to be there, and he's going to be expensive if this happens, but that's what we're going to say to all wide receivers who gets drafted by Chiefs in this spot. So moving down, we're into the second round now. Seeing who comes off the board next. Second round's going to be chock full of players. There's going to be a lot of players coming off the board in this round. Coming in, Josh Downs to the Bears. Sneaky spot. I like Justin Fields. I think he's got some development to do in the passing game, but he also doesn't have the supporting cast. This allows him to get a guy who can create separation, get downfield a little bit, but a good route runner, savvy, can get out of his breaks. This is something he needs, something he can get with. A guy that no one's comparable to Chris Olave, but I'm talking about a separator, a guy who is good in a phone booth, a guy who's got good hands, a guy who can get underneath, a guy who can get downfield a little bit, a guy that you can use to count on, a player that you can depend on when chips are down. Josh Downs is one of those reliable wide receivers, and this is a good get here in the second round. Plus, he's savvy. Tennessee Titans go with Cedric Tillman. Again, from Tennessee connection here at 42, which isn't that bad. A good wide receiver prospect, second rounder here. And the thing about this is the volume in the Titans offense, the prospectus of them not passing enough. We got Treylon Burks. Derrick Henry's not going to be there forever. He could rack up some good fantasy seasons here and there. He's not going to be dead in the water. Things could turn around. Treylon Burks is going to be interesting going forward because he should command more target share going forward because that's just how he is. He's a good wide receiver prospect. Tillman's a guy that you're probably going to catch late second, third round of rookie drafts. People are not going to be in on this, but it could be a sneaky play as well if you want a discount at the wide receiver position with some okay draft capital. Moving on, and Atlanta Falcons get another tight end, Darnell Washington. And here they mentioned that they need another tight end to keep in line while they let Pitts runs routes. However, Washington's got some athleticism to him. This could be a double-edged sword here where it could be dangerous to defend this team because you got two athletic tight ends now. Two guys that can stretch the field. Two guys that are dangerous in space and that could really get you creative. From a fantasy football sense, it's the tight end position. You got two tight ends on this team that are interesting. I don't see Kyle Pitts just surrendering the tight end one job to anybody, and they're not going to give it unless Kyle Pitts kneels down on his sword or whatever. But Darnell Washington's dynasty value is going to be very low, but that cheap investment, considering it's going to be peanuts, might be worthwhile to you. But here on the next pick at 46, Packers draft Dalton Kincaid. And the thing about this is when the Packers make a pick like this, it's money printer, go Burr, and the dynasty stock market. So no matter what happens with this player, if you hold him, you will hold its value. The value will remain the same because you got that Packers value. Not with all tight ends, but Kincaid was week in, week out, was leading tight ends and targets in college football last year. Has good hands, was productive, and him going to Packers is going to lead to that. And if he's on the field, if he's running routes, then you could get some fantasy production out of him as well. So it's not horrible. But again, you're rating this against running backs and wide receivers. You're still going to want to peg those premium positions over the tight end, even if they land in a good spot. Moving down here to our next guy, we got a running back, Zach Charbonnet, UCLA back, former Michigan Wolverine to the Dolphins. Big power back, can catch the ball in the backfield, jack of all trades, master of none, and this guy smashes through faces. This guy can be productive. I like this landing spot. I like the draft capital. if this happens, and if he's in the 50 range somewhere to a team like this where you know he's going to get the opportunity to run the rock, then yeah, his dynasty value is going to increase, and he's going to be up there in rookie drafts. Right behind him, Zay Flowers, 54. Zay Flowers got speed. He can create separation, and he's a sneaky prospect. He's been productive, too, from a market share standpoint throughout his career. A good breakout age. Him going to Seattle, pairing up with Geno or whatever quarterback's there on the long term. Could be good. Could be good. Plus, you got DK Metcalf on the other side, so you don't have to try to be the wide receiver one. You can just do your thing. And then right behind him at 55, we got the Giants selecting Kayshon Boutte, 55. One thing to question is why you fall this far, and we know kind of why, but there's also off-the-field concerns. And if you're falling this far, and in the real draft, would you fall farther? Because I look at him, lights out, when he was at his best a few years ago, first-round caliber prospect, should be the top of this draft class, really up there with the JSNs, up there with the Jordan Addisons and the Quentin Johnstons. But now we're here at 55, falling to the Giants, but the landing spot's great. The landing spot's awesome here. Getting balls downfield. We can see them really get these ancillary jabroni wide receivers productive. So if they can get them productive, and if Boutte is firing, we got ourselves a top-tier dog here. And one of the things I think when they made this mock, they're probably doing the Odell Beckham LSU helmet scout thing. So one thing I was thinking about here is the Giants landing spot with this, the mock drafter putting that together. But Kayshon Boutte on his own right is damn good when he was healthy, and I think he's trending back to being that. Moving down here, Dallas makes the big pick here with Kenny McIntosh, running back from Georgia. Who knows where he actually gets drafted? It'll be second, third, maybe day 3. I like him a lot as a prospect, especially in a situation like this. For some reason, he thinks that there might be a chance that he keeps Zeke. Who cares in this situation? Kenny McIntosh catches the ball in the backfield. He's very explosive and really can be good in fantasy with how he catches the ball in the backfield and what he can do after the catch. And that really matters, especially if he's getting volume. And if you're getting good draft capital here in the second round, you're going up with him. He is moving up. You're talking about first round. He's going to get jetted up there. He will be jetted up there in the first round if he's going to the Cowboys at 58. Mark my words, he will. If James Cook can get up there, Kenny McIntosh can definitely get up there with the Cowboys here at 58 if you're looking at in that corollary, especially in this year's draft class where the running backs are so stacked. Also, maybe top tier second round, but I can see the narrative street just running wild here. Moving down here, Tucker Kraft to the Panthers from South Dakota State. Tight end's going to tight end. Small school prospect getting paired with a rookie quarterback in Stroud in this scenario. You're just going to have to catch the discount here. He's going to be cheap. He's not going to be a first-round pick, second-round pick. Third-round pick would be kind of high. You're looking at like fourth round of rookie drafts with a second-round draft capital guy in the fourth round of rookie drafts. That might be okay if you really want to take a shot at a tight end, but you really don't have to at that point either. And then at 62, we got Marvin Mims to the Bills. Sneaky wide receiver going to a sneaky spot. He could be productive here. He could be a fantasy asset here. He needs to go to a spot like this for his talent to end up turning into production. And this could allow him to be somewhat productive in fantasy football. Pretty much if you're a wide receiver and you're getting like an 80% participation rate with the Bills, you're going to hold some fantasy value. One way or another. It could be volatile or it could be consistent. But even with the Gabe Davis volatility, it still holds value in fantasy football one way or another. You just can't overvalue it. And that's it for the second round of this mock draft. And we got some dandies here. We got some doozies. But let's go ahead and rank these players. And let's start looking at these from a dynasty perspective. Even though we've already been doing it. But let's really start hammering this home here. So, stud tier. You know it. You know it. We can't put anyone else in here. It's Bijan Robinson. It has to be like this all year long. It has to. It can't change. It can't change. Next players coming up here in tier A, and I'm just going to throw them in. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs, Will Levis. So here's the rationale here. Super flex. And then if it's 1 QB, you just toss these quarterbacks down. So we have top 5 draft capital all here with these quarterbacks, meaning they're going to get a long leash. Bryce Young's been a guy for a bit. C.J. Stroud has been a guy for a bit. These are the top 2. Will Levis has been sneaking in here, but got that number 1 draft capital to the Colts. Also is going to have some potential guys with him to share the ball with. Michael Pittman has been mentioned in the trade rumors, so that's why I say potential, but it's not real till it happens. Jahmyr Gibbs here going to the Saints. You can move him around a little bit. You can move him up. Usually catch him right behind the 2 quarterbacks in Superflex. That's where you see him in the mock drafts. Will Levis will get a bump up to some degree. You can even move him down here to tier B, really. You can really do that if you really want to. But considering its Superflex value, you can kind of be malleable with it, but you know it's going to be bumped up. If you're the QB1 of the draft, that value is going to matter. But we're still talking about quarterbacks here. Anthony Richardson holds value too. Needs to be up there in tier. Even though he fell in the first round to the 20th pick to Seattle, still need to hold him. Still going to hold value. Even though it feels dirty, even though you know you're going to have to wait on him a bit, still going to hold some value. But we still have some guys to put in here. I'm going to put in the big 3 wide receivers just because they're sneaky still, even though their landing spots are not sexy. Again, you want to chase talent and not situation. You want to chase talent and not situation and just roll with that. And these are the 3 guys who got the talent. And you want to just roll with them. And the thing about Jordan Addison is this situation's ugly. But things could flip on its head year 2, year 3. Jackson Smith-Njigba was good. He's a good route runner. He's savvy. He lost that year. Fell in the draft. It's probably going to be a discount. He's probably going to be rated like a tier C player-ish in actual rookie drafts. If this happens, he goes to the Ravens, you're going to catch a value. Same thing with Quentin Johnston. Probably going to be valued here by many drafters down here. But again, talent over these other wide receivers. Same thing with Jordan Addison. He's actually very safe. Even if he doesn't give you that top-tier production, I feel like he's going to give you something where you feel like you didn't bust out on. But the same token, you probably want to have these running backs in there. At least throwing Zach Charbonnet up there with these guys. Move him in around here. And the thing is, you know he's going to end up getting some touches. You know he's going to end up getting some work. He catches the ball in the backfield. He can handle a 3-down workload. You're going to get a running back who can be a productive for at least a few years, if not a good bit. And he was a high-end recruit coming out of high school. Did well at Michigan. First running back at Michigan as their first year, freshman year, getting double digits touchdowns in a season. That's Zach Charbonnet right there. So it's no slouch either. Then when you come to tier C is not a bad tier. Tier C is a good tier. And we got question marks and we got some good players here. As we got Kayshon Boutte, Jalen Hyatt, Kenny McIntosh, and Josh Downs. And the thing about this is talent and situation. Kayshon Boutte, talent-wise, belongs in tier B. He belongs with these guys right here. He belongs. But we had that 2022 season. But Jackson Smith-Njigba had that 2022 season as well. But we're also getting those off-the-field things. And the draft capital has him in the second round. So let's slide him down there. But with clarification, he could be in tier B. Jalen Hyatt is in a tier B situation. Good talent. But in a tier B situation here with the Chiefs. So wasn't Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But we can't mark everybody with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Oh, wait, Sky Moore. I forgot. Kenny McIntosh. Let's roll with him. Catches the ball in the backfield. Hella good situation. You could really pump him up in tier B. You really could. There's a good running back prospect. And there's probably going to be other running backs mixing and matching in here that are going to be in C and B from the 3rd round. One guy I want to talk about is Josh Downs. Not the sexiest landing spot, but could be over time. This guy is a good prospect. Can be dangerous. He's got athleticism. He's scrappy, creates separation. Good hands, smart, separator, which is something the team really needs. Michael Mayer in tier D. Marvin Mims, Rashee Rice, Cedric Tillman, Zay Flowers. And then we're going to finish up tier D with Dalton Kincaid. Michael Mayer's in a great spot. This is a very great spot. A lot of people are going to have him bumped up to like tier C range. The thing about this is the tight end position. Even if he hits, it may not even be worth it still. Even if he hits, it may not even be worth it still. Because even if he's consistently like TE5, TE6, from a week-to-week standpoint, may not be worth it in Dynasty Fantasy Football or in Fantasy Football in general. Because that's only going to be just so much better than the tight end 20, tight end 15. And you're paying that regarding the opportunity costs of landing that top wide receiver, landing that cornerstone running back, and you really want to take jabs at those before you roll with that. However, there is going to be more of a premium. This is a better tier D than usual. So you're looking at maybe second round still. If you pull the trigger on the first round, you might be regretting it, and you better hope he turns into Travis Kelce. If not, you might be regretting it. And then here behind him, I love Marvin Mims in this destination. I think this is a great spot. I don't like Rashee Rice. I just can't get it over my head that this is an actual thing that's going to happen. But considering he's a first rounder, we'll hold him with some value. I liked him as a prospect. I like that he's a bigger guy, has a good highlight reel. But again, you can't overshoot your shot too with the draft capital in these drafts, because you really can't take it seriously, which is hard for me to do now. But tier D, no matter what ish, as long as you're getting first round, second round, early third round ish, you're probably going to be here, Rashee Rice. Cedric Tillman, same thing. Good wide receiver. A good guy having this class. And you're going to get a lot of good wide receivers, but there's levels to this game. And you're going to the Titans. Volume overall is going to be questionable. You can probably pick him up later for cheaper if you want. Zay Flowers, sneaky. Let's move him up here. He is very sneaky. He is very, very, very sneaky. Good wide receiver prospect. A lot of people aren't talking about. Creates separation. Has some speed. Good market share numbers. Good breakout age. Something you want. Dalton Kincaid there on the end. The one thing about him is going to the Packers. Led tight ends and targets every week. Can catch the ball a little bit. Could be a great landing spot for him. You're going to catch him at a discount compared to Mayer. So if you do need a tight end, in this situation, probably go Kincaid per at cost, because you're going to pay a lot less in your draft. You might be using your second pick to get Kincaid versus your first pick to get Michael Mayer, which is something you may want to do. And then filling out tier E, we got the other tight ends. I like Darnell Washington in straight up flat tight end rankings with no landing spot. But the thing about tight ends is they're very volatile. They got to go in the right spot, really. You got to have a good quarterback, and they can't have this tricky shit with Kyle Pitts. I'm not paying up for that. I'm going to let it slide a little bit. I'll catch it at a discount. Same with Tucker Kraft. You got a rookie quarterback at him. Carolina's very ambiguous. Not to hate on them, but it is. And Tucker Kraft is kind of versatile. You can line him outside a little bit. Can do some things. Small school prospect who probably needs a little bit more time to develop. And this is a position where everybody needs more time to develop. So bump him down. You're probably going to catch him third, fourth round rookie drafts. Same thing with Washington, which I'm fine with. However, I like to shoot my shot on the running backs back there. Maybe a couple of the wide receivers who fell to great landing spots, who I thought had good talent and good numbers, who just fell in the draft for some reason, like a Romeo Dobbs, something like that. But again, you're looking at these tight ends. They're ones of many that when they're on the field running routes, you pretty much got to be a top 3 guy each week to hold value, or you're really just in the minutia. And why pay value for the minutia when really the opportunity cost of getting these top wide receivers, these top running backs, that you want to punch that lottery ticket in. And then if I need a tight end, I'll just use my second round rookie pick, my late first or whatever, and maybe I'll just buy the tight end I want that's a veteran. They're already seasoned. I know what I'm getting. Maybe I can do it. Or I just package up and get a good tight end. Whatever I can do. I'll figure it out. But sometimes that opportunity cost here, getting those rookie tight ends, are dangerous. You got to see what's on the board, see what you like. Once the players are cleared out a little bit, you can kind of take that risk. You kind of can. But again, from macro, fundamental standpoint, you kind of want to just wait on tight end a bit, if at all, and just play it by ear. Maybe you can pick up guys off waivers even, because there were some guys this year that was holding production that you could have got off waivers. But this is another mocking of a mock draft that we turned into a mock draft that we ranked and talked about. I hope you were into it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. It's only going to help you going forward for your Dynasty fantasy football teams, your rookie drafts, and everything else. I want to thank you for watching.